This video is about the US Marshal PIGs. So let's get going. First of all, I intend to show that these Satanists are assaulting me with their DC citizen slave. These Satanists are assaulting me with their DC commercial codes. These Satanists are assaulting me with their satanic law merchant. These Satanists are fabricating evidence for a show trial in a kangaroo court. These US Marshal PIGs are assaulting me with hearsay evidence, and that they are Satanists and they're cowards. First of all, PIG is an acronym, stands for persons in government who intend to perjure their oath. It could also be called a wordism since it's used as a word. First, these US Marshals PIGs get me fired from Eaton, and now they're demonstrating very clearly that they intend to deny my right to pursue happiness by getting compensation for my labor. And their federal whores in their so-called courts intend to be their accomplices. See my federal judicial whores in Texas video. I did a FOIA request with the U.S. Marshals, and they sent me approximately 400 pages of hearsay evidence, and this video is about that 400 pages. First of all, hearsay evidence is important to understand what hearsay evidence is. They need you to submit all hearsay evidence, or it's not admissible. Okay, it's a fraud. First of all, a picture, an image is hearsay. A name is hearsay. An address is hearsay. When they ask you your name, they're asking you to give evidence against yourself. So then the answer is I don't have to give evidence against myself. A date of birth is hearsay. Anything in a computer system is hearsay evidence. A social security number is hearsay. Where's the proof that I signed on to this? And all they have is their computer entries or images, okay? And all images are hearsay. And so it's all hearsay. A copy of anything is hearsay. A government-issued identification is hearsay. A vehicle registration is hearsay, okay? I mean, you could have sit there and made that thing up at home. Who's to say? And so it's hearsay. And so when the Satanist order followers stop you in the street, they're asking for hearsay evidence, okay? And they want you to give it to them. Insurance card is hearsay. So I mean, think about it. If they have a show trial and it gets to that point, that's what you do is you get the order taker, the order follower on the stand, and you start asking him about his hearsay evidence. And where's this proof that this is actual evidence? You see what I'm saying? Because they don't have any, okay? That's the bottom line, is they don't have any. There is no proof. There's no proof that you're a U.S. citizen. The U.S. citizen's a fictitious entity. They have to have that fraud. They have to have that lie. These people are Satanists. That's why they need you to present the hearsay evidence. An image is a fraud. There's no witnesses. Where's the witnesses here? A computer entry is a fraud. There's no witnesses. Get your witnesses in here. It's a liar, which is really a bar member, which is testifying, okay? And these Satanist bar members cannot testify, okay? They cannot introduce evidence. The evidence has to be done by witnesses. Statements of counsel and brief or an argument are not facts before the court and are therefore insufficient for a motion to dismiss or a summary judgment, any kind of thing, okay? They're not facts. They cannot introduce evidence. And you get this bail priest that gets up there and starts testifying. If you don't object, then you've consented, okay? That's why they want another bail priest to represent you, so then they can railroad you in their kangaroo court. Exactly what's going on, people. I can't tell you how many people I've seen get railroaded because they forcibly they assault you with their bar member, and then their Satanist bar member doesn't object when the other bar member testifies. That's exactly what goes on. These people are Satanists. It's railroaded. They're a kangaroo court, and they got their bail priests up there calling it a fair trial. The U.S. District of Columbia, the United States, is under martial law rule and has been since the Civil War. See the martial laws here video. The martial law rule brings in Roman civil law and displaces the law of the land. See the martial laws here video. Martial law is brought in by the bankruptcy. See the bankrupt corporate governments video. The banksters 1, 2, and 3 videos. And the de facto courts and unidroit videos. It all brings in the United Nations, and under Roman civil law, status is everything. Under common law, status is nothing. And it was absolutely critical that they put the government into bankruptcy, that they impose martial law, so then they can bring in their satanic Roman civil law and play these kinds of games. This is what's going on, people. This is exactly what they're doing. Martial law works on hearsay and presumption, okay? They presume you're one of their slaves and let you defeat their presumption. And the best way to defeat a presumption is before they have a chance to take the presumption. And that's why I served on them literally thousands of notice and demands that are designed to defeat their presumptions. I served a dear perjurer letter on every member of the U.S. Senate and about 135 members of Congress before I ran out of money. I served the heads of law enforcement agency as well as attorney generals, county, city attorneys, chief judges in New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, Utah, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. And the idea was to defeat their presumptions and put them in a position where they have to honor their oath. But they have no intention of honoring their oath, okay? These people are Satanists. These are bar members. This is all coming from the Vatican, people. These documents are designed to defeat their presumptions and take away their plausible deniability. I have made lots of work for these US Marshal PIGs who have listed me as sending pseudo-legal documents, and they've listed me as a terrorist threat as well. These pseudo-legal documents are documents that they do not like. Think about it. What's the word pseudo-legal? Pseudo-legal is fake legal documents, okay? that's false legal documents, okay? Then the reason they're calling them pseudo-legal, people, is because I'm bringing up issues that they cannot address, okay? If they say that I'm right, it will amount to their admission that they're involved in treason, okay, and sedition. That's exactly what they'll be doing. And they cannot say I'm wrong because I'm not wrong. So then that's what they do is they start calling names, okay? They do name calling. That's exactly what they're doing. And most of these brain-dead idiot sheeple that are out there are too stupid to figure this out. This is the response that I got from the U.S. Department of so-called Justice, the Marshal PIGs, with my FOIA request. It took them 2 years to come up with this, to answer it too, by the way, I'd like to add. Well, no, more like about 18 months. Anyways, it says there they located 415 pages, and they released 397 pages. And so who knows what the other ones are all about. Anyways, this is in some of their documents, and if you notice at the top, they're using their capitis diminutio maxima on. So they're calling me their slave is what they're doing. They're fabricating evidence of their U.S. citizen slave, and they're saying that by serving these documents on my public servants, that I threatened them. Okay, I threatened them with the law. I threatened them with their oath of office. Okay, we can't be doing that, can we? They don't want to be threatened with law. Okay, these people are nothing but thieves. Okay, they're criminals. They are involved in a seditious conspiracy. That's exactly what they're doing under their own codes. There's some more stuff, and this is actually the middle part is when the U.S. Marshals PIGs came to see me at my work and got me fired from Eaton, and it says no further contact. Interview indicates he intends to operate within the confines of the law. Well, I've always operated. I've never breached the peace. These Satanist pigs breach the peace every day. And see here, they're using their capitis diminutio, okay? Actually, that's a copyright. So at some point, I'm going to get some justice with these whores, and I'll have to get my copyright violations collected. these Satanist pigs. This is another one of their documents. And let's zoom in on the bottom part. And this is what it says. This is all redacted because they're cowards. They don't want anybody knowing who's putting this stuff together. Okay, they're cowards is what they are. It says here, but of particular interest and security concern in this statement is a complaint issued by the to the circuit. Okay, that's Baal priest Fish. That's Joe Fish. That's Satanist Baal priest. Anyways, I will assert my God-given rights to my last dying breath, and if Joe Fish doesn't like it, then my suggestion is to send his hired thugs over to my house and have him take me out back and blow my brains out. Because by the time I'm done with him, he will wish he did, and I will do it all within the law of the land. And so I've never threatened them with anything but the law. But these Satanist Baal priests, you can't threaten them with the law. They're Satanists, okay? They don't want to know anything about the law. They're outside the law. They're nothing but thieves and murderers. That's exactly what they are. And that's what they want to do with me. They want to facilitate my murder. That's exactly what these Satanist pigs want to do. So come on down, pigs. It's my day. Here's another one. This is from the where they sent it December 2008. Oh, well, and again, they're talking about I'll assert my God-given rights to my last dying breath. Okay, yeah, these Satanist pigs don't want anybody having any rights. They want slaves. Okay, this is getting in close. And my suggestion is to send their hired thugs over to my house and have them take me out back and blow my brains out. Because by the time I'm done with them, this is not over, pigs. This is not over. And this is furthermore in the this is the Charles R. Fullbridge, which was the clerk at the time, and Shelley Saltzman, okay, who was the deputy clerk, where they're sending this stuff out after I served this in the U.S. Court of Appeals. The interesting thing I want to point out here is says previously in our circuit. Because the vast majority of judicial misconduct complaints were summarily dismissed. Well, why is that a surprise? They don't want anybody complaining about their Baal priest whores. Matter of fact, in my recent Supreme Court petition, one of the things I asked, one of the questions is, under what authority do these courts of appeals claim to have Article 3 judges when they don't have the capacity to operate as an Article 3 judge? Because they cannot convene a common law jury, and that's one of the requirements for an Article 3 judge. And I was recently on the Court of Appeals website, and they're not listing them as Article 3 judges anymore. It's amazing how that works. These Satanist pigs. Anyways, this is one of the redacted documents that I served on someone. And notice the way I could trace it down was by the registration number, because this is who it was served on. That Loretta A. Prescott, the chief whore in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. The chief whore. That's what she is. She's a whore. She's selling her justice. She is nothing but a whore. And here's another one, okay? And this is another one I served. Oh, Charles M. Oberle III, the U.S. whore in the District of Delaware, okay? And that was in 2012. The U.S. attorney or U.S. whore, bar member, Satanist. And here's another one. And that was sent on to Randy Ely, another whore, and he was in the Northern District of Texas, a Satanist Baal priest. And here's another one. Joseph R. Guccione, another U.S. Marshal Satanist pig. Oh, and here's another one. And this was sent to Condoleezza Rice, another whore, U.S. Secretary of State in the Communist State Department. It's well documented that the State Department's been seized by the Communists. That's talked about in the, there's, oh man, what's his name? There's a guy that did an interview with the Ford Foundation in the early 1900s, and they said they were going to seize control in the State Department and the Education Department, and which they've done. Okay, there's Condoleezza Rice, that bitch, and so this is what's in there. I accept your oath of office. Quality under the law is paramount. I'm competent. You're not competent. If you do not, I did not give you authority to make a legal determination for you. If you think you assume you're representing me, you're fired. I don't want to be a surety for your fraudulent, fictitious entity. I'm not one of your low-life scumbag U.S. citizens. And this name's copyrighted. If you want to use it, these are the fees. These Satanists don't want anybody having any rights. These people are nothing but a bunch of scumbags. Here's another one. Oh, this one I couldn't find. I'm not done looking yet, but I'll find that one. But and this is the Texas DPS pigs, where they're listed me as considering armed and dangerous. See how I'm their slave. They're fabricating evidence of the U.S. citizen slave. See their date of birth. Okay, that's all part of their U.S. citizen slave, prior driver's license, social security number. Okay, they're fabricating evidence. This is all hearsay evidence. Okay, that's what it is. It's all hearsay. And these Satanists are fabricating evidence of the U.S. citizen slave, and it says right in their paperwork, right here, it says the underlined part. Unlawfully arrested, okay? While you Satanist bail priests, you pigs, I have the right to resist an unlawful arrest. That's what your bail priests have said. But they don't want anybody with rights. And notice they're capitis diminutio maxima. I'm their slave, okay? They want to assault me with their DC citizen slave. Doesn't matter what I say. They prejudged it from the beginning. These people are nothing but a bunch of Satanists. They want to assault you with one of their DC contracts. This is the transportation, the TSA pigs, okay? Initial notice of threat assessment, okay? They're calling me a terrorist threat here. And so they're revoking this airframe power plant license, these Satanist pigs. And that's what this is all about. So they want to make sure I can't even get compensation for labor. They want to deny my right to pursue happiness. You don't have any rights if you're dealing with these pigs. When are you people going to wake up? US Marshal pigs intend to unlawfully arrest people. The Texas DPS pigs intend to unlawfully arrest people. They intend to use hearsay evidence as justification to assault. Doesn't matter what you say. It's a kangaroo court. It's presumed they intend to assault you and railroad you into their crowbar hotel. That's exactly what these pigs do. They intend to use hearsay evidence to kidnap people and falsely imprison people. These pigs are order follower Satanists. These pigs and their U.S. border pigs are actually the terrorists. These pigs are the terrorists. This is taken from Funk and Wagnall's New Fractional Dictionary, okay, 1946. It's a system of government that seeks to rule by intimidation, okay? That's what these Satanists are, okay? They're terrorists. They are the terrorists. The best way to divert attention is to focus it on someone else, and the people are too damn stupid to figure it out. These U.S. Marshal pigs and the TSA pigs are not satisfied getting me fired from Eaton, but intend to deny my right to pursue happiness by getting compensation for my labor. They're making it so their Gestapo pig buddies in the Department of Homeland Security, so-called security, can assault me every time I see them. These pigs want to facilitate my murder. They're bail priest whores in the so-called courts of their accomplices. The Department of Homeland Security is a subsidiary of the Nazi SS, which is a subsidiary of the Treasury, which is owned by the International Monetary Fund. These U.S. Marshal pigs are putting all sorts of defamatory information all through their databases with the objective of making sure I'm denied my right to pursue happiness by getting compensation for my labor. I've not been able to get a job for almost 4 years. This is what some of their bail priests have said. Any restraint, however slight, upon another's liberty to come and go as one pleases constitutes an arrest. Okay, so I don't care they want to call it a detainment. It's an arrest, pig. An illegal arrest is an assault and battery. The person so attempted to be restrained of his liberty has the same right to use force in defending himself as he would in repenting any other assault and battery. See, I have the right to resist your unlawful arrest, pig. One may come to the aid of another being unlawfully arrested, just as he may where one is being assaulted, molested, raped, or kidnapped. Thus, it is not unlawful to liberate one from the unlawful custody of an officer, even though he may have submitted to such custody without resistance. So, all you Satanists out there, okay, think about it. All these people that are in their prisons, how come you're not going over there and getting them out of there? Okay, that's what should be happening. You know, Mark Passio says that 2/3 of Americans are Satanists, and they absolutely are. Actually, it's way more than that. And all you Satanists out there are going to deserve every bit of what's coming. If there's not been a breach of the peace and there's no lawful warrant, then they have nothing to say to you. They intend that their pig thugs unlawfully arrest you like the Azle pigs did to me and the Huntsville pigs did for me. These pigs are everywhere. Mark Passio is a former Satanist priest. He's got some great lateral law videos. The guy is brilliant. He talks about the pillars of Satanism. And who would know but a former Satanist priest? And one of the pillars of Satanism is there's no absolute right or wrong. Truth is relative. We just make up what is right or wrong. What is right or wrong is what we decide today, and tomorrow it'll be something different. And 2/3 of the people believe in moral relativism. That's these bail priests in their court case. It's what we decide today, and tomorrow it's going to be something different. That's every court case is a satanic commercial transaction. Pillars of Satanism, more forms of mind control. Survival is the highest law of Satanism. And that means survival at any cost. It doesn't matter what you have to do. Certain classes, social Darwinism. Certain classes of society think they're most fit to rule. Well, gee, that sounds like the elite. Postulates the survival of the most socially ruthless. Well, gee, that sounds like Council on Foreign Relations and the elite. Ultimate responsibility of self-preservation. Gee, that sounds like the elite. The Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission. Social Darwinism includes eugenics. Well, that sounds like population reduction, okay, which is what they're working on. Elite get to determine who lives or dies. That's what these Satanists are doing, people. Pillars of Satanism, forms of mind control, order followers. One of the pillars of Satanism is order followers. They're responsible for all of the atrocities in history. Think about it, people. All of these people that were put through however many there were, there's a debate about whether there was actually 6 million or some other number, but it doesn't matter. If there was one, that's too many. But all of these people that were put through the ovens in Nazi Germany, okay, were done by order followers, okay, people? You understand that? It was done by order followers. Order followers have committed all of the atrocities in history, and they're setting it up for another one. Okay, there's going to be another one, and it's going to be right here in America. Just follow the order followers, just follow orders without thinking about whether it's a lawful order or not. Willing slaves. And now when I'm talking about this, I want to say that does not include oath keepers. Okay, there are oath keepers out there, and they understand. And now whether they understand all of this or not, it's hard to say. But they have actually come out and said that if Obama seizes the guns, they're not taking that order. They're not following that order. So 3 cheers to them. So that doesn't include them. But these pigs are everywhere. These are Satanist pigs is what they are. They're everywhere. This is Mark Passio's YouTube channel, and I would highly recommend you go there and watch his YouTube videos. He's got a great one on order followers. And if anybody out there is an order follower or wears a military uniform, then I would suggest you go and watch it and educate yourself a little bit. Anyone who's wearing a military uniform is an agent of the Vatican. The wearing of clerical dress or a religious habit on the part of layfolk is liable to the same penalty on the part of the state as the misuse of military uniform. That's Article 10 of the Concordat of 1933. That's what Hitler signed with the Vatican, and Canada and the United States has bought on to that, along with most other countries. Almost all so-called governments are bankrupt, owned and operated by the Vatican. At common law, a sheriff would have a star only. At common law, there's no uniform. And it's also interesting to note that all countries or most countries have bought onto the Lateran Pact, which is also was signed between Mussolini and the Vatican, and where Mussolini said he was going to protect the Vatican. Well, now you got Canada and United States protecting the Vatican too. And so that's where all this is going, people. This is where all this is coming from. The World War II war crimes tribunals. All of these Nazis claimed they were just following orders. Well, gee, that sounds like they're Satanists. They either suffered death by hanging or spent the rest of their life in jail. Some of them are still hunted to this day. Vietnam War, the My Lai massacre, they were convicted of murder. Today, order followers are everywhere. Things that you see every day using the satanic philosophy of moral relativism. False flag operations. The end justifies the means. Agent provocateurs. The end justifies the means. Entrapment. And entrapment is an agent provocateur or a false flag operations where they get evidence and it comes out in court. Okay? That doesn't mean that there's not entrapment going on otherwise, because it goes on all the time. These people are Satanist people. They're diabolically evil. All court cases are a kangaroo court unless it's a common law court. It's satanic. And there's a satanic order follower, just an average American slob, IQ 95. Yeah, they like low intelligence thugs, okay? They don't want anybody with intelligence. There's court cases about that. No girlfriend, no power, limited education, right? But then he puts on his official costume, his monkey suit, his military uniform, and becomes authority man. And he's sitting there, he got to generate revenue. He's operating under the Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. He's got a black uniform. It's more intimidating. It's all designed to be intimidating. Notice he's got this TSA groping fingers there so that he can stick his finger up a woman's crack. And he's barking unreasonable orders. Yes, sir, citizen, pick it or click it. Threatening slogans, photo radars. He's walking all over the Constitution. Threat of violence and jail, threatening slogans, and he's doing his random checkpoint illegal searches. And then you got the bimbo down there kissing his boot. And so yeah, there's your authority, man. And do you feel safe with these satanic order followers running around? Stay calm. Everything will be okay. We're here to help you. Oh, we believe it. Really, we do. Millions wouldn't, but we do. If we can't rape you, terrorists win. There's Napolitano, the order follower, the Satanist bitch. And there's some more TSA molestation going on. See these guys groping this guy's genitals. You know, they get off on that stuff. And so then the choice is TSA molestation or radiation, where they irradiate. And then they see, look at that. They even have the pick of the day. And so they love the TSA, the Body Cavity Explorer Corps. We're here for you. And think of us as your physician. Your health and safety is our concern. TSA cavity searchers coming sooner than you think, because profiling would offend the terrorists. Okay? And so, see, this one lady is getting her rocks off, feeling up this other lady. I'm going to protect and serve the shit out of you. See, another order follower. Some more order followers. This is the standing army you were told not to tolerate, okay? This is Satanists, okay? These people are order followers. More order followers doing what order followers do. More order followers doing what order followers do. A lot like ordinary brutality, really, but the bullshit charges are laid against you just to cover their butts. That's exactly what they do, okay? These Satanist pigs. They go and fabricate stuff, so then they can fabricate evidence of the U.S. citizen slave, and that covers their butt because they have every right to do this against the slaves. You want some of this? Go ahead, report me. We'll see who will be at your front steps, okay? So that's, again, this is these U.S. order followers, these U.S. pigs. Some more order follower pigs, okay? Protect, serve, and get away with it. That's what these order follower Satanists are all about. Okay, notice how the cowards put their hands up. They don't want their picture taken. They don't mind beating the shit out of somebody and then letting their face go in front of the camera. But they're cowards. They don't want, because they can get their butts sued. That's what it is. Okay, or maybe they can wind up in jail if someone knows the law. Okay, but these people are Satanists. Predator or protector? I say predator. Police everywhere, justice nowhere. That's these order follower Satanist pigs. Everything they do is under the color of law. They even dismiss cases because they're not colorable enough, not enough fraud. It's all a fraud, as intended. The so-called judge is actually a bought and paid for clerk masquerading as a judge, which is a fraud and a lie. The only rights are those granted by government, which is also a fraud, as intended. Equity. That's the best you're going to get is equity, which is equality of rights, which means that they're going to treat you like one of their slaves. That's exactly what that means. They're nothing but a bunch of Satanists. If you don't do something at the right time or say something at the right time, or you say something too late or at the wrong time, they'll pretend you did not say it. The U.S. citizen's a fictitious entity. It's a fraud. If you do not use the right words, they'll pretend you didn't say it. The so-called judges playing stupid, lying in wait for you to say the wrong thing. That's called suspicion and avoidance. State law statutes are actually federal statutes. This is taken from a book called Jurisdictional or Federal Areas Within the States, report of the Interdepartmental Committee for the Study of Jurisdictional or Federal Areas Within the States, Part 2, a text of the law of legislative jurisdiction submitted to the Attorney General and transmitted to the President, June 1957. And so it's under the heading of international law rule, and it's adopted for areas under federal legislative jurisdiction, and then federalizes state civil law, including common law. The rule serves to federalize not only statutory, but the common law of the state. Okay, and so what they're talking about is if you're a U.S. citizen, everywhere is federal territory. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then it goes on page 165. The civil laws in an area of exclusive federal jurisdiction are federal law, notwithstanding their derivation from state laws. And a cause arising under such laws may be brought or removed to a federal district court under sections 24 or 28 of the Formal Judicial Code, now sections 1331 or 1441 of Title 28, giving jurisdiction to sub-courts of civil actions arising under the laws of the United States. And so that's exactly what they're talking about here. But theoretically, in the sense of public international law, the several states are neither foreign to the United States nor are they foreign to each other, but such is not the case of private international law. Okay, so this is all talking about private international law. The United States government is a foreign corporation with respect to the state, theoretically. But what they do is if you're a U.S. citizen, then you're in commerce, okay, interstate commerce. You're a D.C. citizen is what you are, and they have to fabricate evidence that they're a U.S. citizen slave. That's exactly what they have to do. Every taxpayer is assessed to pay trust, having some interest in preventing abuse of the trust, being recognized in the field of this court's prerogative jurisdiction. Okay, so think about it. Every taxpayer, that's a U.S. citizen's a taxpayer. A citizen of the United States is a civilly dead entity operating as co-trustee and co-beneficiary of the public charitable trust. So they just accuse you of they just fabricate evidence. That's why they want a date of birth. That's why they'll just get anything, so they can presume you're one of their slaves, and then they assault you. It's exactly what they do. It might be correctly said that there's no such thing as a citizen of the United States. A citizen of any one of the states of the Union is held to be called a citizen of the United States, although technically and abstractly there is no such thing. The privileges and immunities of citizens of the United States do not necessarily include all arrests protected by the First 8 Amendments of the Federal Constitution. See, this 14th Amendment was designed to enslave everybody. That's exactly what it's done, okay? Is they want to enslave everybody because under the 14th Amendment, you don't have any rights. The first 8 amendments mean absolutely nothing. The only absolute and unqualified right of a U.S. citizen is a residence within the territorial boundaries of the United States. Citizenship is a political status and may be defined and privilege limited by the Congress whores. The term resident and citizen of the United States, as distinguished from a citizen of one of the several states, is that the former is a special class of citizen created by Congress. Okay? That's these Congress pigs. It's impossible to prove jurisdiction exists absent a substantial nexus with the state, such as a voluntary subscription to license. All jurisdictional facts supporting claim that supposed jurisdiction exists must appear on the record of the court. So these Satanist pigs go and assault you if you don't get a license, and then when you do, then they call it a contract. Gee, that sounds like what happened with Samuel Adams when he came up with his terminology, give me liberty or give me death, because the pigs in those days flogged some guy to death for refusing to take a license. That's exactly what these Satanist pigs do. They've been doing it for centuries, people. It's time to wake up. There's 2 states in every state. There's a lawful state and there's a federal territory. And this is a site from Swartz versus O'Hara Township School District. There's been created a fictional federal state of within a state, and that's cited in, that's also they're citing the U.S. Supreme Court, 1953. Under the international law of warfare, all parties to a cause must appear by nom de guerre, because an alien enemy cannot maintain an action during the war in his own name. A nom de guerre is a fictitious war name. A mixed war is one which is made on one side by a public authority and the other by mere private persons. Okay, so they're engaging in warfare on you when they're dragging you into their kangaroo court. Nom de guerre is a fictitious war name. Capitis diminutio in Roman law. Okay, capitis diminutio maxima, the highest, most comprehensive loss of status. That's what these US Marshals pigs did with me, is they criminally converted my name, and so they created this US citizen slave, and they're trying to assault me with it. That's exactly what these pigs are doing, and they're denying me due process. They're denying me my right to pursue happiness. These Satanist pigs, you know, judgment day's coming, pigs. This occurred when a man's condition was changed from one of freedom to one of bondage when he became a slave. It swept away with it all the rights of citizenship and all family rights. And this is the Trading with the Enemy Act. The president, if he shall find it compatible with the safety of the United States and the successful prosecution of the war, may, during the time of the war, the president may, through any agency that he may designate under such rules and regulations as he may prescribe, by means of instructions, licenses, or otherwise, regulate, direct, compel, nullify, void, prevent, or prohibit, or exercise any right, power, or privilege with respect to any property by any person. Okay, so, and any person, that's a U.S. citizen, okay, among other things, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, okay? And so, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction or citizen of the United States, okay? That's again, if you're a U.S. citizen, you are a slave, and they are making war on you. It's about time you woke up. This is the National Emergency Act of 1976. It's an act to terminate certain authorities with respect to national emergency still in effect, and to provide for orderly implementation and termination of future national emergencies. And it says in 502, section 502, it says the provisions of this act shall not apply to the following provisions of law, the powers and authorities conferred thereby, and actions taken thereunder. And so, and they're talking about section 5B, the act of October 6, 1917. That's the Trading with the Enemy Act. Okay, so they repealed all national emergencies except for the Trading with the Enemy Act. And so that's still in full force and effect. We can't even begin to count the number of times judges, lawyers, and statesmen have said there isn't any common law anymore. It has been replaced by statutes. They would be more truthful if they said there isn't any common law anymore. It's been replaced by martial law. Okay, and so again, they're liars. Okay, that's exactly what they are. The lawyers up there should be liars. And statesmen, okay, there are no statesmen. The judges, they're whores, they're clerks masquerading as judges. There are no Article 3 judges. They're all a bunch of Satanists. They're putting on a show trial. It's a kangaroo court. In the meantime, civil law was the form of law imposed in the Roman Empire, which was largely, if not wholly, governed by a martial law rule. Equity has always been understood to follow the law, which means follow the common law. To have superior equity is to turn things on their head. This is exactly what happens when martial law is imposed. If equity is a law, it follows its own course rather than following common law, thereby destroying the common law and leaving what's called equity in its place. So what happens when they impose martial law is it supersedes common law, so there's no common law, and that's why they have to impose the martial law. Remember I told you at the beginning about the bankruptcy, okay? They have to impose this martial law under the bankruptcy because they have to get rid of common law. And once they do that, then equity can do literally anything at once, okay? And you get into their kangaroo courts, and the whore will sit up there and he'll say, I can do anything I want in here, and he's 100% right, because it's all under martial law. Why do you think that gold Prince flag is in there? Or that in Texas, they like to use a seal, okay, the Texas seal, which is the round state of Texas seal, and they put that up on the wall. Well, that's just more, it's a corporate seal is what that is. The exclusive jurisdiction which the United States have in ports and dockyards ceded to them is derived from the express assent made by the states to whom the cessions were made. It could be derived from no other manner, because without it, the authority of the state would be supreme and exclusive therein. Well, that all sounds good if you're a state citizen, but if you're a U.S. citizen, you have no rights because that's you by definition are in interstate commerce, and they can do anything they want. It's a well-established principle of law that federal regulation applies only within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. There's a canon of legislation construction that teaches Congress that unless a contrary intent appears, legislation is meant to apply only within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. And that, again, is unless you're a U.S. citizen. If you're a U.S. citizen, you're a piece of property, you're a slave. If a citizen acquires the same legal status as those protected by the amendment to the operation of some statutory law of Congress, then said citizen may be brought within the venue of the amendment as a statutory juristic person. By this means, citizens' birthrights become of no effect, and their rights are reduced to the inferior character of statutory civil rights. Okay, that's exactly what they've done. Okay, they passed statutes. Okay, so now the only thing you can do, it's all under civil law. The only thing you can do is you get these whores that are masquerading as a judge on the bench, and if you don't use the right statutes, they walk all over you. They're nothing but a bunch of Satanists. They're pigs. There's two classes of citizens. There's state citizens and federal citizens. You can be a state citizen without being a U.S. citizen. Watch the Do You Know Who You Are series of videos. A U.S. citizen is not entitled to an Article III court, but instead gets an Article I military court with a plenary jurisdiction. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, Constitution for the United States of America, as defined and reinstated in National Mutual Insurance Company of the District of Columbia versus Tidewater Transfer Company, which further states that the citizens of the District of Columbia are not embraced by the judicial power under Article 3 of the Constitution for the United States of America. The same statement is held in these other cases. In 1804, the Supreme Court, through Chief Justice Marshall, held that a citizen of the District of Columbia was not a citizen of a state. We therefore decline to overrule the opinion of Chief Justice Marshall. We hold that the District of Columbia is not a state within Article 3 of the Constitution. There's lots of cases that say that. In other words, cases between citizens of the District of Columbia and those of the states are not included in the catalog of controversies over which Congress could give jurisdiction to the federal courts by virtue of Article 3. In other words, Congress has exclusive legislative jurisdiction over citizens of Washington District of Columbia, and through their plenary power, nationally covers those citizens, even when one of the several states, as though the district expands for the purpose of regulating its citizens wherever they go through the states of the Union. U.S. citizens do not get an Article 3 court, no matter where they're at. Okay, so these whores operating on the bench, they're busy fabricating evidence of the U.S. citizen slave so they can justify assaulting you with their D.C. citizen status. That's exactly what they do. If any citizen or resident of the United States does not reside in or is not found in any United States judicial district, such citizen or resident shall be treated as residing in the District of Columbia for provisions of this title to a jurisdiction of the courts or enforcement of summons. This is where it's codified under their federal codes. The term individual means a citizen of the United States or an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence. The term federal personnel means officers and employees of the government of the United States, members of the uniformed services, including members of the reserve components, individuals entitled to receive immediate or deferred retirement benefits under any retirement program of the government of the United States, including survivor benefits. Okay, so anybody that has a Social Security number, that's why they want to fabricate a Social Security number. And they don't bother asking for that anymore. They just want a birth date because they can pull it up in their hearsay computer database. That's exactly what these Satanist pigs do. The term citizen of the United States is analogous to the term subject in the common law. They want to assault you with their D.C. citizen slave. A U.S. citizen's a government employee. It's a sesticate trust. They cannot admit that you're a state citizen because that is like admitting that they're involved in treason and sedition. State citizens are the only ones living under free government whose rights are incapable of impairment by legislation or judicial decision. That's the Supreme Court. State citizenship is a vested substantial property right, and the state has no power or to divest or impair these rights. The state cannot diminish the rights of the people. So these Satanist pigs are busy fabricating evidence of their slave so they can assault you or they can justify their assaults. That's why the only thing they can do is fabricate evidence of their slave. They know there's no such thing as a U.S. citizen. That's why they have to use terminologies like pseudo-legal arguments. Okay, they know that if you're a state citizen, they're engaged in treason and sedition. That's exactly what they're doing. They are domestic enemies. They're cowards because they don't do it themselves. They set up the scenario where their Satanist order follower buddies, like the U.S. border pigs or their Hazel pigs or their Huntsville pigs, do it for them. And the whores in the federal so-called courts intend that these pigs assault people because it's so good for business. The national whores in the Northern District of Texas, and I don't say federal because they're national, because they only, under their statutes, they can actually operate in state, but they're not interested in operating in state. They want to operate in a territory, and so they're national. And in the Northern District of Texas, like McBride, Means, Cummings, Fitzwater, and Fish, the national whores in the Fifth Circuit, the national whores in the state so-called courts like Cosby and Lowe, yes, all the courts, I don't care if it's state or federal, they're actually federal. They fall under Title IV United States Code, and they're all federal. The Texas Government Code is part of the Title IV United States Code. These federal judicial whores in Texas. Watch that video. They're nothing but a bunch of federal whores. These so-called courts are manned by U.S. citizens, and they assault you. They fabricate evidence of their slave so then they can justify their assault. They have no intention of providing justice. They're nothing but a bunch of Satanist pigs. In other words, when state martial law is imposed within a state to enforce national martial law, Congress has no reason to exercise its martial law powers. See, that's what's going on, people. If a state has conformed to the new order, there's no need for Congress to intervene, and if a white citizen has not obtained the standing of a former slave by petitioning Congress for admittance to venue and jurisdiction of the 14th Amendment, then Congress has no power over that individual under this clause. Okay, and that's Diet versus Turner, non-ratification of the 14th Amendment by Judge H. Ellett of the Utah Supreme Court. Okay, and I've actually got several sites in here that are from that document, and if anybody wants a copy, I'll be happy to send it to them. Statutes have been passed extending the courts of admiralty and vice admiralty far beyond their ancient limits for depriving us of the accustomed and inestimable privilege of trial by jury in cases affecting both life and property to supersede the course of common law, instead thereof to publish and order the use and exercise of the law martial. And that is taken from the Causes and Necessities for Taking Up Arms, 1775. This is nothing new, people. This has been going on at least since the War of Independence and from before, too. That's what caused the War of Independence. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution, acknowledged by our laws, if it is assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury. And that's taken from the Declaration of Independence. Read it, people. And then 2 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, the pig George III, at Chapter 12, 1778, 2 years, passed this act. And whereas taxes by the Parliament of Great Britain for the purpose of raising a revenue in His Majesty's colonies, provinces, and plantations in North America have been found by experience to occasion great uneasiness and disorders, well, no joke, Batman, that from and after the passing of this act, the King and Parliament of Great Britain will not impose any tax, duty, tax, or assessment, whatever payable in any of the colonies, provinces, or plantations in North America or the West Indies, except only such duties that may be expedient to impose for the regulation of commerce. Well, they go ahead and do it anyways. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if I have it in this or not, but tyrant King George III signed the definitive Treaty of Peace of 1783. As the Prince Elector and the arch-treasurer of the Holy Roman Empire and of the United States of America. So they're going ahead and doing this anyways, these Satanist pigs. When enacting to enforce a statute, now we got clerks masquerading as judges, okay? Remember I talked about these clerks masquerading as judges? Well, this is where it's coming from. When acting to enforce a statute and its subsequent amendments to the present date, the judge of municipal court is acting as an administrative officer and not in a judicial capacity. Courts administrating or enforcing statutes do not act judicially, but merely ministerially, but merely act as an extension or as an agent for the involved agency, but only in a ministerial and not in a discretionary capacity. In other words, think about it, people. Courts administering or enforcing statutes do not act judicially. They all administrate statutes. They all administrate statutes. That's all they do. They do not act judicially. He's a clerk masquerading as a judge. He's bought and paid for. It is the accepted rule not only in state courts but in the federal courts as well, that when a judge is enforcing administrative law, they're described as mere extensions of the administrative agency. How do you read bought and paid for? For superior reviewing purposes as a ministerial clerk for an agency. Judges who become involved in enforcement of mere statutes act as mere clerks of the involved agency. How do you read bought and paid for? Clerk masquerading as a judge is not competent to do anything judicial like issue orders or warrants. A clerk masquerading as a judge is operating as private capacity and has no immunity. Ministerial officers are incompetent to receive grants of judicial power from the legislature. Their acts in attempting to exercise such powers are necessarily nullities. It's a fraud. In Texas, they don't issue warrants. It's a capias. That's exactly what they issue in Texas. A bill of attainder means legislative acts, no matter what their form, that apply either to named individuals or to easily ascertained members of a group in such a way as to inflict punishment on them without a judicial trial. Well, they're all statutes and codes or bills of attainder. I don't care what they are. They're bills of attainder. They're not getting a judicial trial. It's a kangaroo court. A bill of attainder, a special act prescribing punishment without a trial for a specific person or group. Bills of attainder are prohibited by the Constitution. Bill of pains and penalties is a legislative act, though similar to a bill of attainder, prescribes punishment less severe than capital punishment. Well, think about it. They're bringing in their sesticate trust, okay, which means that they're putting you to death, okay? They're only dealing with dead things, with the states, okay? And so it's the death penalty. But even if it wasn't, it's the bills of pains and penalties, and both of them are prohibited by the Constitution. They're not interested in doing justice. They're nothing but a bunch of pigs. No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it. An unconstitutional act is not law. It confers no rights and imposes no duties, affords no protection. It creates no office. It is in legal contemplation as inoperative as though it's never been passed. An unconstitutional law is void. It is and is as no law. An office created by it is not a crime. It never became a law and is as much a nullity as if it had been an act or declaration of unauthorized assemblage of individuals. They are not interested in doing justice. If they know about this, they're not stupid, and they don't have to follow it. But they want to railroad you so they can collect their royalty. They are pigs. Where there's no jurisdiction, there's no judge. The proceeding is as nothing. Such has been from the law from the days of Marshal PIGs. A void judgment is one which from its inception is a complete nullity and without legal effect. A void judgment is one which has no legal force or effect whatever. It is an absolute nullity. That they're in the business of doing void judgments, these Satanist pigs. Its invalidity may be asserted by any person whose rights are affected at any time and any place. It need not be attacked directly, but may be attacked collaterally whenever and wherever it's interposed. Courts have decreed that one of jurisdiction makes all acts of judges, magistrates, U.S. Marshals, sheriffs, local police, all void. Not just voidable, void. The clerks masquerading as a judge or bail priest holding a kangaroo court. That's exactly what they're doing. Kangaroo court. is a term descriptive of a sham legal proceeding in which a person's rights are totally disregarded and in which the result is a foregone conclusion because of the bias of the court or other tribunal. Okay, it's a kangaroo court. It's a Baal priest. It's a satanic religious ceremony. It's a fraud. It's a lie. It's from the beginning. It's all a fraud. They don't say like what I say. They don't like what I say, okay? If you read their documents, this is what they said, okay? They don't like that I said this. I will assert my God-given rights to my last dying breath, and if whoever doesn't like it, then my suggestion is to send his hired thugs over to my house and have them take me out back and blow my brains out, because by the time I'm done with him, he'll wish he did. And I'll do it all within the law of the land. They don't want anybody asserting their rights. They want slaves, okay? That's what they deal in, is slavery. They are slave masters. That's all they deal in. They start name calling with their pseudo-legal document terminology. That's the US Marshal PIGs. These US Marshal PIGs saying I'm making unreasonable demands. Well, because they admit that I never breached the peace or been charged with a crime, they don't like being held to their oaths of office. They want to be able to represent me without authority and fabricate evidence of their U.S. citizen slave. The whores on the bench in their so-called courts intend to be their accomplices. These Satanist pigs don't want anybody defeating their presumptions. These Satanist pigs want to be able to assault me, kidnap me, false imprison me, engage in the theft of my property, and deny my rights with impunity. They don't want anybody to have rights. They want to be able to impose their military dictatorship with impunity. They intend to deny me due process by making sure their border pigs get to assault me as much as possible. They intend to deny due process by making sure I can't get any work. I've never in my life breached the peace. These Satanist pigs and their border pig buddies breach the peace every day, literally millions of times, based on the same kind of information. These Satanist pigs are using their DC codes to justify their assaults, kidnappings, false imprisonments, thefts, and murders as justification to deny my right to pursue happiness by getting compensation for labor. They're bought and paid for clerks masquerading as judges in their so-called courts are accomplices. See the judicial whores video. They're nothing but whores. They're busy fabricating. They're in the business of creating terrorists with fabricated hearsay evidence and lies and innuendo. They're in the business of making sure people get assaulted and kidnapped and falsely imprisoned and even murdered as part of their population reduction agenda for their satanic Vatican handlers. And that's all intended by their judicial whores because it is so good for business. The end justifies the means is satanic. Woe unto them that call good evil and evil good, put darkness for light and light for darkness. If a man be found stealing any of his brethren of the children of Israel, and maketh merchandise of him, or selleth him, then that thief shall die, and thou shalt put evil away from among you. So that's what's happening. All these people in jail have been sold into jail. So, people, if you don't put evil away from among you, then God's going to judge you too. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now the long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. If you don't put evil away from among you, God's going to judge you too. Okay? Patrick Henry coined the phrase, give me liberty or give me death, after he witnessed a man flogged to death for refusing to take a license. Okay? We already talked about that. Everything in their so-called court does is a fraud. They spell your name in all block capital letters, which is a fraud. They spell your address in all block capital letters, which is a fraud. They use a zip code, another fraud. They cannot speak the truth. They are Satanists. They present themselves as neutral and biased when in reality they're bought and paid for. All so-called judges are actually federal whores selling their justice. There is no such thing as an Article 3 court because they're all territorial. These Satanists cannot speak the truth. It is one of the hallmarks of Satanism: lies, half-truths, fraud, and deception. They criminally convert your appellation, which is your name. They criminally convert your postal address. They present the judge as neutral and unbiased when the so-called judge is actually a bought and paid for clerk. See my Leos in Azle, Texas videos, which is actually pigs in Azle, Texas. Everything they do is a fraud. A color. This is taken from Tomlin's Law Dictionary, 1835 edition. Color signifies a probable plea, but which is in fact false. And how is it used? They lie in wait for you to say the wrong thing so they can justify selling you into slavery. Well, this is taken from Black's Law Dictionary, 8th edition. And this is talking about confession and avoidance. Give color. To admit, either expressly or implied by silence, that an opponent's allegations appear to be meritorious. In common law pleading, a defendant's plea of confession and avoidance had to give color to the plaintiff's allegation in the complaint, or the plea would be fatally defective. So they operate exclusively under color of law. They're nothing but Satanists, and they're pigs. They assault you with their criminal corporation. They don't, it's the state of Texas or the United States. They assault you with their criminal corporation. That's why they had to impose martial law, so they can do that. My opinion is, and long has been, that the mayor and aldermen of a city corporation, or the president directors of a bank, or the president directors of a railroad company, or other similar corporations are the true parties that sue and are sued as trustees and representatives of the constantly changing stockholders. A corporation, therefore, being not a natural person, but a mere creature of the mind, invisible and intangible, cannot be a citizen of the state or the United States, and cannot fall within the terms or the power of the above-mentioned article, and can therefore neither plead nor be impleaded in the courts of the United States. So when they assault you with their D.C. citizen, with their or their D.C. territory called state of Texas or state of Arizona or state of Kansas, they're engaged in fraud. Okay, it's a fraud. They don't have, no corporation is standing to do anything in any court. It's not a court. Think about it. It's not a court. These people are Satanists. They're pigs. Once a fraud, always a fraud. Things invalid from the beginning cannot be made valid by a subsequent act. These are maxims of law. A thing void in the beginning does not become valid by lapse of time. Time cannot render valid an act void in its origin. Okay, that's why it's a void judgment. Okay, and these Satanist pigs make it so that you have to bring up the issue. Okay, they're not, that's why I say they're not interested in justice. They are a bunch of Satanist pigs. Out of fraud, no action arises, and any act by any government official to conceal a fraud becomes an act of fraud. It is a fraud to conceal a fraud, and fraud is inexcusable and unpardonable. Fraud and deceit should excuse no man. These are all maxims of law, and any fraud amounts to injustice. Fraud and justice never dwell together. What is otherwise good and just is sought by force or fraud becomes bad and unjust. And that's all maxims of law. You're the father of the devil, and the lusts of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. These US Marshal pigs are Satanists, and the Homeland Security pigs are Satanists. But the fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in a lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. These order followers, Satanist pigs. These order followers are Satanist pigs. That's exactly what they are. Now, if they're an oath keeper and they understand this stuff and they follow the right orders, then they may not be. But I can't tell you that it seems like I'm a magnet for these order followers, Satan's pigs. They send out their U.S. citizen pig to assault you and kidnap you and falsely prison you as a revenue officer under the Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. So that's the thing to point out, that they're in their private capacity. You're operating in your private capacity under the revenue, as a revenue officer under the Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. You're not here. There's no breach of the peace, then you're not here in your official capacity. Then they hold a show trial in their kangaroo court that has a U.S. citizen prosecutor and a U.S. citizen clerk masquerading as a judge, which is an Article 1 military tribunal. Then they make merchandise of you and sell you into slavery. These people are Satanist pigs, by which he went and preached to the spirits in prison. Okay, so spirit prison. Gee, that sounds like hell. 1 Peter 3:19. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones. That's these pigs. Okay, that's Obama. He's the host of the high ones. That's the U.S. Congress pigs. Okay, they're the ones that are doing this. This is where it's all coming from, people. Okay, that's coming from the U.S. Congress and Obama. That's really where it comes from. But it's also coming from the local clerk masquerading as a judge. It's also coming from all of these clerks masquerading as judges and these U.S. Marshal pigs. Okay, that's all of them fall into these categories, and they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and they shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. J.W. Holinsky, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Robert G. Seasonwine, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Michael P. Herta, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Peter J. Lynch, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Loretta A. Preska, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Charles M. Oberly III, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Condoleezza Rice, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Joseph R. Guccione, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Randy Ely, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Joe Fish, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Terry Means, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. John McBride, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. David Harlow, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. William Snelson, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. David Musil, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Gerald Auerbach, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Pat Mohan, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Derek Driscoll, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Carl Matthias, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Michael Prout, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Holly O'Brien, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Shannon Brown, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. William Fallon, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Neil D'Souza, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Thomas Segroy, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Eben Morales, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Jay Johnson, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Alejandro Mayorkas, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Paul M. Rosen, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day. Kimberly O'Connor, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Stephen E. Bunnell, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Joanna Noonan, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Russell C. Deo, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Fulgham, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Luke J. McCormack, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth from off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Suzanne Spalding, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Loretta Lynch, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Sam Cummings, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Sydney Fitzwater, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Reed O'Connor, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Paul Stickney, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Jeffrey Curtin, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Carl E. Stewart, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Edith H. Jones, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Lyle W. Casey, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Charles R. Fulbridge III, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day 6. Shelley E. Saltzman, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. Eric Holder, before God, angels, and everybody who watches this video as a witness, I shake the dust of the earth off my feet against you, and we'll be talking about this on Judgment Day, Satanist. It behooves every man who values liberty of conscience for himself to resist invasions of it in the case of others, or their case may, by change of circumstances, become his own. And anybody that's watching this video needs to keep that in mind. If ye love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude better than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace. We ask not your counsel or arms. Crouch down, lick the hands which feed you. May your chains set lightly upon you, and may our posterity forget that you are ever our countrymen. And that's Samuel Adams. But if the watchmen see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, and the sword come and take away the person, take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hands. Either you're part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You are now a watchman. Circulate this video far and wide. Other videos, Bankster Thieves 1, 2, and 3, Churchianity series, bankrupt corporate so-called governments, bar members 1 and 2, Unidroit, Martial laws here, quasi-contracts in Roman civil law, de facto courts. All courts are ecclesiastical courts, DC courts in Texas, jurisdiction. Copies of these documents can be found in my private group at Yahoo called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. I have YouTube videos that are videos of private information shares that show these and other court citations that are available for donation. Donations to support this work are appreciated. I prefer gold or silver coin, but as an extremely less desirable alternative, I can accept IOUs and send me an email, for particulars. If you find this useful, then you need to pay it forward. And if you don't know what pay it forward means, then watch the movie. Contact information, my blog is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. I have a website, sovereigntyinternational.fyi. Email is engineerwin@yahoo. I got YouTube profile, Sovereign Living. Facebook community page, I got Sovereignty International, and a private group also called Sovereignty International. And there's the Yahoo private group is called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants, and the Google private group called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope you spread it around. We all need to do what we can to make sure that our conscience is clear on Judgment Day. And in the meanwhile, I appreciate you taking the time to watch the video, and I hope you have a real nice day.